Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 1 Point Safety Show with myself, Scott Hartley, and my glorious co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you this week, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, man. Pretty good. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, work's getting better, and it's Friday. It's Friday tomorrow, so can't complain
Exactly,
at
yeah.
all.
Can't
Cannot
complain.
complain. Exactly that. So we thought we are going to have a pretty quiet week this week, and seemingly it's not been a quiet week.
How wrong was
Especially
we? How wrong was
Oh,
we?
how wrong were we? Indeed, Scouse, how wrong were we? A
Mm.
lot of news coming out of the Washington Commanders this week. It started off with articles around, we have to say him, Dan Snyder, and him looking for indemnity from the NFL when he eventually leaves and packs his bags and leaves. The sooner the better with that one. And then we had a bit of an explosive article on Tuesday from ESPN. And if you haven't listened to it already, I will shout him out. Please go and listen to John Kime's podcast, the John Kime Report. It's the one with a chap called Don Van Natter, who did the article on ESPN. And it was quite an explosive article circling around a $55 million loan that was taken out by Dan Snyder from Bank of America back in 2019 to really, it looks like, just style his lifestyle for a while. Spend his lavish lifestyle of traveling and moving around the globe and his yacht and other bits and pieces. But the big crux of this loan, Scouse, is that it wasn't signed off by the other minority owners, and that the FBI are currently investigating Dan Snyder for potential bank fraud.
Well, that's typical. Well, that's just something something typical that Dan Snyder would do, wouldn't it? I mean, you think how low this guy is, how much of a scrote he really is. He knowingly defrauded his own partners. Do you know what I mean? Like that, you've got to have some fucking no morals at all.
There's no scruples there at all, is there?
Yeah, I mean, he probably didn't even think of it a second time either. He probably just went, yeah, fuck them, fuck those owners. And he's only, don't forget, he's only 60% owner at that time.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like he's 99%, and these guys are just really minority owners. These are like, there's three of the dudes there who were pretty well in with it. And Dan Snyder I just organized this loan. Don't even tell them. That's the worst thing. Didn't even tell them. And obviously, how do you get owners to sign off on something if they didn't know about it?
Yeah, and then there was a lot.
You got to forge everything. You got to forge the signatures, haven't you, to do it?
Yeah, and there's a lot mentioned there around this loan. Obviously, it's not unusual for owners to go and take a loan out. Obviously, things have to be signed off through boardroom meetings. And then, obviously,
but Dan doesn't have boardrooms. Dan doesn't have boardrooms. He just goes, "What the fuck do I need a boardroom?" I mean, I remember that from Kime's thing. That was a quote. Why the fuck this is Dan Snyder? Why the fuck do I need a board meeting?
I know. I would just
that says it all. That just says it all, mate.
It blew my mind.
Guy is absolutely blurred.
The other thing on it as well was that we were looking at this, and it got the minority owners went to the NFL and asked the NFL to put together a resolution. And an investigation. An investigation was done by the NFL, which they decided to scrap mysteriously on the behest of Roger Goodell, who then said, right, well, we're going to put it together through mediation. And this was all kind of buried, is the way that it's been put through the media.
Well, it was forced. Yeah, it was forced, wasn't it? It was basically, you're right. And then you mentioned about go through mediation, which meant just, no, yeah, we're just going to forget about this and just buy those owners out because they're all unhappy. And that's basically what Goodell did. That was his solution, rather than actually do what he should have done, which is the due diligence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what was really interesting was it took them 18 months to find out that this bank loan had even been given, and that it was in a footnote of a meeting. That happened. It was on the annual accounts.
It was an audit. It was an audit, wasn't it?
Audit, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
like in the footnotes, like fucking right at the bottom.
Yeah. And then at the same time, obviously, quite sharpish after that, the sale came through when this all came to light, when it was being investigated by ESPN. Coincidentally, we shall say, within a week of that, Dan hired Bank of America to sell the team. Which, yeah, that in itself.
Well, it leads on to the $1 billion he actually owes the Bank of America as well. No wonder they're the team. They're the people saying, well, actually, we're the ones going to be selling this team. Why? Because we're taking our $1 billion back that you owe us, you little fucker. And that's basically why they're doing it. Well, I don't think that was a Dan's choice. I think that was a forced choice because of the money that he actually owes them. So
it's funny, isn't it? I mean, that kind of initially, I mean, we were talking off air about this and through WhatsApp and stuff. And, $1 billion, owing $1 billion to a normal, human being, that is like, oh my God, how can you owe $1 million? And then you just quoted it straight away. So tell everyone what you said there. You know what I mean?
Well, if you think about trying to sell the team, just play devil's advocate a little bit. If you're worth $5 billion, just to make it easy for easy numbers' sake, if you're worth $5 billion and you owe $1 billion, well, you're only 25% in debt, aren't you? I mean, how many normal people like ourselves are worth 25, are in only 25% debt of what we technically would be worth? I mean, if I died tomorrow, my mortgage worth more than me. You see what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, there's levels, isn't there? And that's the thing I always say about that. Yeah, it sounds unbelievable and like, what the fuck? But these guys, it really isn't a lot. It sounds bad, but it isn't really that bad, really, that he owes $1 billion to this bank.
I think this is the absolute worst I can't think that it's gonna. I mean, I fully appreciate the other allegations that he's under for sexual misconduct within the workplace. All of this stuff's coming out. The Beth Wilkinson report still hasn't come out and is yet to come out, so we still have that bombshell to come. But I honestly now believe we're in the final.
Isn't it the verbal one? Isn't that the verbal one?
Yeah,
Beth
apparently.
Wilkinson.
But
is it a Mary Jo White as well?
Sorry, Mary Jo White. That's the one. I apologize.
She's got one who's coming out as well. But
it's still, do you know what? That just says it all. There's so many inquiries that you get lost with how many inquiries you've got, and it's just I've just done that. That's
what I'm saying. Like the guy is worse than scum. Do you know what I mean? He genuinely is. It's painful having him as our kind of overall boss and owner. Do you know what I mean? It's
I think we're in the final.
Easy for us.
I think we're in the final furlong here, though, Scouts. I really do think this is it. I don't think there's any way that we can come back, that he can come back from this. I really don't. I think it's going to be an owner's vote. It's either going to be an owner's vote and he's gone, or it's going to be he's going to go of his own volition. But the only issue you do have here is who he eventually sells the team to, and from that, what is the bid and what is he going to take? I mean, if someone comes in with 6.1 billion and then Bezos says, hey, I'm going to give you 6.5 billion, is he going to cut his nose off despite his face for that 400 million?
And the thing is, well, what you got to think about is, will the NFL make him
take
that bid? Because he owes them like nearly 800 million, I think. So call that $1 billion to make it easy as well. So he owes them $1 billion as well. So it's kind of like, his money's coming down pretty damn fast here, isn't it? We're thinking all this money he's got, well, really, he doesn't have shit.
He's just interesting.
He is literally, yeah, he's just like, well, you're totally right. He hates Jeff Bezos. He definitely doesn't want to sell to him. But if he's the highest bidder, what happens then? Because normally, if it's technically yours, you can sell it to whoever the hell you want, even at a lower price. If that's the case, if you don't like somebody or you want to sell to your mate instead or whatever, you do mate rates, don't you? It happens across the world, all those types of things. So why can't Dan do it? Well, okay, he's got a few guys up his arse trying to force him out, which I get it. But again, it's like, technically, if he is still the overall majority owner, he should be able to sell to who the hell ever he wants. As long as he gets it sold, I don't give a shit how much he gets. If it's $1 billion, £10, whatever, I don't give a shit. Fucking just go, get rid of it, leave us alone, and just fucking don't let the door hit you on the way out. Do you know what I mean?
I could not agree more with what you just said there. Another bit on there was he's paid $10 million a year in a salary, and he took $4.5 million to put the Redskins logo, then the Commanders logo on his plane for advertisement. I mean,
who's going to see it? Who's going to see it? It's flying in fucking 40,000 miles in the air. You know what I mean? 40,000 feet, sorry, in the air. It's kind of like, you're not going to be, no one's going to be seeing that. And even at the airports, he's in a private jet in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, these guys,
it just shows you,
ridiculous, mate.
It is
ridiculous.
Shows that
he is just an absolute fucking leech, mate. He's a leech.
He is indeed. We'll move on from that because I know you want to talk a little bit further on that later on. So we'll park that and we'll come back to it a little bit later on. We also had yesterday the NFL Players Association, or NFLPA, came out and gave their overall grades of teams within. It's the annual survey. The annual survey was done by just over 1,000. I think it's 1,365 players within the NFL. And it talks through everything from treatment of families right the way through to team travel. We ranked out of all of the teams, we ranked plumb last, 32 out of 32. And I'll just go through what the scores were on the doors. So for treatment of families, we got an F, which was tied 29th and last. We got food and nutrition, we got a D+, which was 18th. The weight room got a C+, and that was 22nd. Strength coaches, we got an A+, and that was first. Training room, we got an F-, and that was tied 30th and also last. Training staff, we got a D, which was 31st. Locker room, we got an F-, which was 32nd and last. And team travel, we got an F, and we were 32nd. And we were also one of 4 teams who don't give first-class privileges to players while traveling from city to city for NFL standards. Now, the thing that highlights this for me is this was done and surveyed by your own players from your own team. So it wasn't other players from other teams. This is internally our 90-man roster, 53-man roster are sitting down and looking at it and giving us a score. So this is coming from the players themselves. You know, your Terry McLaurin's, everybody that's normally in the team. This is the gradings that they have actually given us. So that's really, really worrying. And the other thing on this as well is this report goes out to every free agent in the NFL. So they get this report given to them on, you know, via email or however it gets to them, saying this is the overview of the Washington Commanders and this is what you're going to get when you get there. I mean, this is pretty shocking, really. And I don't think this is necessarily, I don't know where you lay the blame with this apart from Snyder again. You know, he's the one pulling the purse strings. He's the man with the budget. It's obvious now that he's not a cash-rich person. So it leaves you thinking, when he's spending his money, 4.5 million on a frigging plane by putting a logo on it, why isn't he putting that into a locker room that has no hot water? You know, it's absolutely abysmal. I mean, we were saying before, we've been in that locker room and what did you call it? It was
dated. It's old.
Yeah, it's dated.
You know what I mean?
It's
like,
old,
you know, it's not. Yeah, I mean, you know, it wasn't. It was great to be in there. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't. It wasn't all mod cons, was it? Do you know what I mean? It was pretty, you know, it was pretty battered, bit old. You know what I mean? Like it needs refurbishment, really.
I mean, I didn't really get that.
So I can understand. I can understand what they're saying about kind of maybe being an F.
I didn't really get that wow factor from it either. You know what I mean? When you walk around, you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool, but I didn't really get that. Wow,
but again, it's dated, isn't it? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's dated, isn't it? You know what I mean? If you go to SoFi, it'd be amazing to see. But don't forget though, they are comparing $2 billion stadiums against one that was built 30 years ago. That's basically fucked and needs to go. Do you know what I mean? So I understand. I understand that it got rated as it did for that. The only thing that concerns me really, out of all those, I mean, you know, first of all, you're treating family shit. That's not cool. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? No, that's always going to piss players off. So what's the point in that? You know, you got to make sure that the families are good. You know what I mean? You got to make sure that they're happy being there. You know, being looked after well, etc., etc. But the biggest one for me, the training staff at D, really.
Yep.
You know, that's like the rehab guys because they're happy with the strength coaches for some reason, but they're not happy, and the facilities are okay. But they're not happy with the rehab, the actual training team. So what's that?
Yeah, but then I don't know. But then you've also got
that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So was it the regime previous and this regime?
Or was it just how shit? Or was it just how shit these rehab guys are? These athletic trainers, how bad they are?
Possibly. And then you also got to think there, the training room itself got an F-. So clearly there's an issue with the training staff and the training room. And if we're a team that isn't healthy, we're not a healthy team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean exactly how many guys are banged up, and the guys aren't ready to come back. You know, is it that these guys aren't good enough? I mean, I understand. I mean, to be fair, I can understand it to a certain extent. Like Chase Young, with his injury, he doesn't take anyone's advice besides the actual doctor who actually did it, James Andrews. Mm-hmm. He's the only guy who actually speaks to. He goes, "Oh yeah, he got another checkup from his doctor today."
I saw that. Yeah.
Where's the rehab team? What the fuck are they doing? Do you know what I mean?
It's worrying, especially when you're in that industry, Scouse.
Yeah,
you know
I'm in that industry, yeah, and that concerns me that these guys aren't good enough to rehab guys' injuries. That worries me. That worries me. It's like, who the hell have you hired for that? Because they're happy with the strength guys to get them beasted up, but they're not happy with the actual rehab dudes. So,
yeah,
ladies, whoever's involved.
Your PTI side of it, they're quite happy with that, and the programs that they get in.
Most of these teams are led by, strength and conditioning coaches. That's what they are led by. Mm-hmm. And then you don't really have too many physios or physical therapists that they might be calling over in the States. I've had experience of that, when I was in college over there and up in Florida. And like they didn't have any real physios. They had one PT and they had about like 12 strength and conditioning guys. And the thing is that all these guys are getting injured. And the physical therapists are pointing out all the problems, all the biomechanical issues that they've got. Even though these guys are absolutely stacked and ripped.
Yeah.
But they're all getting injured, they're getting stingers all the time. And the reason why, because they can't physically, they haven't got the function, they haven't got the actual biomechanical positioning to be safe when you hit someone. Do you know what I mean? And so it's all well and good putting muscle on people and making them look absolutely jacked. They got to be actually functionally be able to handle the game as well, not just be ripped, if that makes sense. And so that worries me that if the training team, because I'm counting physical therapists as part of that training team, and they're a D. I mean, if I was called a D in my job, I'd be fuming. I'd be like, what the fuck am I? I've got to look at myself, a long, hard look at myself and say, what the fuck am I doing wrong here? You know what I mean? So, that worries me more than anything.
Yeah, and as I said, I mean, a lot of people have skipped over this, and I know we spent a bit of time on this now, but the fact that it comes from your own players, that's the worry. You know what I mean? That is the worry.
Oh, yeah.
It's been neglected for so long that they're just left to get on with it. And that is why we don't look like a great free agency destination. Do you know what I mean? If people are reading this sort of report, I mean, hopefully, if we change ownership and we get a cash-rich owner in, these things will change, over time. It's not something that can be done overnight. I know the Commanders released a statement on it, and they said that, we've got new turf within the stadium, we've got a new training facility within the bubble, and, we take it seriously and we're looking around it. But as you said, when you've got guys who are constantly injured and you've got a D and an F for your training room, I mean, come on now,
Yeah, exactly.
You can't expect people to be world-class athletes with,
with fucking high school level.
Yeah.
Third high school level kit. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense at all.
And again, that's another fan Snyder problem, isn't it? I call him fan because he's meant to be a fan, isn't he? Let's face it. Fan Snyder. Fucking shit, mate. Honest to God.
He is. So there's been a bit of news on the player side as well. We have re-signed some players this week. So we have re-signed David Mayo, Milo Eifert, who's a linebacker.
Awesome.
We've re-signed Nathan Gary. We've re-signed Jonathan Williams, and we've re-signed Rashad Wild Goose. All 1 year extension deals.
Yeah, I'm so it's so riveting hearing that. I'm so happy about this. Obviously not. Do you know what I mean?
The depth worries me.
Shite.
The depth worries me, but
shit, man.
It doesn't mean
and the shit.
It doesn't mean that they're going to make the 53 though. That's the other thing. I mean, you have to plan a 90-man roster from somewhere. But
yeah. Well, okay. Out of all those guys there, how many made the team? All of them besides one.
2, maybe.
Gary was injured, so that's why he never got in the team.
Mm-hmm.
He played a good air straight away. Wild Goose was in the squad.
Yeah, he was.
Williams was. I don't mind Williams, to be fair. But
no, I don't.
I don't mind Williams a fair back. It's fine. Mayo's good in special teams, but
that's what I'm saying,
way near as a linebacker. Stay away from linebacker, honest to God. And who's the other one?
It was Milo Eifert, Nathan Gary, Jonathan Williams, was Eifler. Yeah,
Eifler. I mean, again, injured all the time, so he never got. He's not in the squad. He's always in the practice squad or injured. So they're just fucking shit, mate. They're shit, or they're just oh man.
See, you're frustrated,
and you wonder why. And you wonder why we're 32nd ranked in most of these things. Because
I agree.
We pick up some shit dudes, man. I'm telling you.
So we've had a bit of coaching changes as well, a few promotions and some new coaches coming in. So we have a new QB's coach in Tavita Pritchard, who was Stanford's OC for 5 years. He also played for Stanford as a quarterback from 2007 to 2009. Funnily enough, you were mentioning it earlier. He lost his job to Andrew Luck. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Fair
and
enough.
Then, yeah, exactly. And then really a quarterback that didn't make the league, stayed on at college, and pretty much after his collegiate career, just stayed on as a coach, working his way up through assistants, running backs to eventually being the OC. And he's been the OC there for 5 years. He's 36 years old.
He's got good experience for his age, you know. He does have a good, he has decent experience because say he hasn't just been the head coach, or offensive coordinator. He's been quarterbacks coach, he's been running backs coach, he's been wide receivers coach. So he started, you know, and he's in one of them was like a defensive one for a year as well. So he's had a little taste of all. So I'm sure he's got varied experience, and he'll probably do a good job for us, you know. So I'm not too worried about that one.
I'm not too worried about that either. This is clearly Bieniemy's first hire, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's like,
and obviously he knows him well, and he's Stanford as well. So you like to think he's well educated.
You would hope so, wouldn't you?
Because we went there as well. He played there. He went there, and obviously coached up all the way through the last 10 years. So he must be reasonably smart.
Ken Zampese, who was our QB's coach, has stayed on, and he's got a overly inflated title of Senior Offensive Advisor / Game Management.
So if that's the case, then is he the guy going to be calling the timeouts?
Maybe.
Because game management, that's all about that type of thing, or red flags, you know, throwing the flag, or doing the timeout at the right time rather than like just before the 2-minute warning rather than just after it, etc. Those type of things. Save us extra 15-20 seconds per game type thing, and we're in the close games at the end. That's what I'm thinking.
That's where I was thinking too.
Or he just made up some shit just to keep him on because you like him, you want to keep him around.
Maybe. Who knows? But it's, you know, he's still on the staff, and to be honest with you, I didn't think he did a too bad a job last year as QB's coach.
He's a nice dude. I mean, for what I'm seeing from like you know, other people who spoke to him and met him, and you know, he seems really, you know, he seems like a really nice dude. Which you want those type of guys around. You know what I mean? You don't want knobheads. You want nice guys around sometimes as well.
And then we've also had some promotions on the defensive side of the ball. So we've got the DB's coach overall is Brett Vesselmeyer, who was already with the team last year. He was coaching the safeties last year, I believe. Senior offensive assistant and safeties is now Richard Rogers, who was an assistant on the corners last year.
Didn't we have his son as well?
Yeah, we had his son.
He was tight end, wasn't he? Richard Rogers as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He was Green Bay guy when he became to us.
That's right, yeah.
And that's his son, isn't it? Yeah.
And then assistant DB / nickel is Christian Garcia, who I think was a defensive assistant last year.
He's the guy I don't know about.
Yeah, he's a guy. He's moved up. He's moved up.
But it looks like it's all internal, doesn't it? It looks like it's all internal, and everyone's gone up by one, basically.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
So obviously, Del Rio likes that. Del Rio obviously likes them because we lost Chris Harris as well, didn't we?
Yeah, that's exactly. It's to replace Chris Harris, isn't it? So that's exactly what they've done there. So, and that's it from a player standpoint and a coaching standpoint. So that brings us on then to our next, and my most. I love this segment. Really, it's Scouse's Sizzle.
Well, we've already kind of mentioned half of this shit. Yeah. I mean, you already mentioned Fan Snyder. You know, the guy is just a fucking lowlife, man. Like, he makes me ashamed to be a Washington fan, and I hate having even thinking like that. Do you know what I mean?
Wow,
the guy is a proper scumbag. Like, it's like the lowest of the low, the small man syndrome, dude. Always got to act aggressive all the time. It's like, why? You're in charge of one of the when he bought them, one of the greatest franchises in NFL history at that point. And all he's done is just come in and destroyed it over a 20-year period. Just destroyed the foundations of it all, the legacy, everything. The guy's an absolute fucking joke, mate.
I did want to bring this up, really. I mean, it's a very strange situation we're in at the moment, especially with Dan Snyder and having 20 years of this. And I mean, for me, I've known no different at all. And obviously we've had some of the older fans or fans who've been longer term fans than we have on the show, and they've experienced the times of the Super Bowl and other bits and pieces when the franchise was very strong. I'm hoping that obviously with new ownership, we can change this around again and become the franchise we were before. But it really feels now like I am supporting a expansion team. A team
exactly,
that doesn't have any history to it at all now. There's nothing there.
Exactly, there's no history to it, and this is, and I understand that's not all on Dan. There is a racist tone technically to the name. I understand, but at the end of the day, we weren't hurting anybody with it. Do you know what I mean? We weren't trying to walk all over the Native Americans. It was nothing like that. So I mean, obviously, I'd prefer us to go back to the Redskins if possible, but I know that wasn't really fair to blame that all on Dan that big, because that's just how it was, pressured into it. But the guy, man, I mean, honestly, if I saw him, I'd probably bought him. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how bad that.
You don't want to headbutt off scouts, that's for sure.
You don't, not with this head. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get KO'd. And this is the thing, man. It's like I can't stand the dude. All he's done, I've not seen one positive thing that he could come out of. If you think of the Dan Snyder, tell me one positive thing he's ever done for us. I can't remember one. I can't remember any. So it's like, even when he tried to be big splashes, he always made the wrong ones. Albert Hainsworth, Deion Sanders when he was finished, stuff like that. It's like, mate,
Josh Norman.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are all finished an absolute gash. At that point, and Hainsworth was just fucking shit anyway. But just one lazy bastard. But at the end of the day, it's just like he's just painful. I can't even say it, mate. That's how, like, I can't even say it properly. I'm stuttering and everything because that's how much I'm hating this dude. And just please let him go. Someone buy. I don't care who it is, but I've also heard bad stories about Josh Harris as well, though. So I don't really want him either. So.
Yeah, well, that's something we'll move on to then. I mean, the two overall candidates they're talking about is Harris and Bezos are the two overall candidates that they think are going to at least have made a bid or may have made a bid. I mean, this is the other thing. It's all speculation. No one knows what's actually going on behind closed doors. Everything's kept internally, and we're never going to know what's actually gone on and who's bid, who hasn't bid. But we really just need someone to step in now and say, enough's enough. Move on from Snyder. As I said before, I really think this is the final furlong now. It cannot be any longer. And, if you're going to throw a party for any of our guys in the States and girls in the States who are listening to us, we'll be there. You know what I mean? Because this is just ridiculous. We want that to happen when we want that party, we want that celebration that Dan's finally gone, and hopefully good times can move on to the franchise, because we've got, as we talked about before, we've got position groups that are good. We've got a decent enough team with a few tweaks here and there. We've spoke about it as well in our last episode around the season overview. You could take potentially 4 to 5 games last season that we lost by like one score or a stupid interception, and you take them wins and you're well in the playoffs. You know what I mean? You're looking potentially at, can we fight for the division? Can we fight for, if you get the breaks that you get? I mean, like straight off the bat here, we've got Minnesota, we've got Tennessee, we've got the Browns, which didn't turn up for them, both New York games. That's 5 wins. You know what I mean? Straight away. And I've just rattled them off the top of my head because I knew we were in there. At the same time, you could argue it the other way and say, probably should have lost against the Bears, may have lost against the Falcons. It is kind of swings and roundabouts, but I don't think that
this is the Commanders for you. It's always been complementary football, all 3 phases of the game, etc. And we're not great at any of them, but we're decent at some and not so great at others, parts of it. And because of that, every game that we're in, it's always tight. It's always like last play of the game, heart attacks, isn't it? Isn't it every time?
The only one was the Texans.
Yeah,
and that was, and it was so weird watching that because you sit there going,
used to it.
I'm just going to watch Red Zone here. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, because we're not used to having that. We're not used to having our adrenaline going all the time in every single game. So in that game, it was just like, oh, right, yeah, this seems like a walk in the park, a Sunday stroll, and it was. But again, we're normally not that good to other teams. You know what I mean? Like we're the ones that they're walking all over us.
Yeah,
So when we win, it's always tight. Yeah,
it's always tight when you win. It's always tight, man. Always tight. Mm-hmm. Again, Jags. We could go back to that one. Could have lost that roundabout. Could have lost that. Two drop touchdowns. Mm-hmm. It's an interest. It's really interesting. I mean, I think the season overall, you would say it normally works itself out to be where you are, but I think there was at least 2, if not 3 games that did get away from us.
That's who we are, though, aren't we? Mr. Average. That's what we are. We are Mr. 500.
Yeah, and I think we have to do that this year. We have to not be Mr. Average this year. If we go with Sam Howell as QB1, which again, there's been noises this week around that. He was QB1, he wasn't QB1. It's a competition. It's not a competition.
No, I think I understand. I mean, I think just to clarify that a little bit, from what I listened to and what Ron was saying is that Howell is QB1 right now, as in like he's going to be QB1 going into the off season, as in like when he starts to come back, he'll be QB1 at that point. He didn't say he's QB1 first game of the season. That's different, you know what I mean? So, because it all depends who we go and get. Because we are going to get a vet. 100%
yeah,
going to get a vet somewhere.
And I agree with you. So, he's got to earn it, hasn't he? He's got to earn the right to be QB1.
Exactly, yes. So he's not going to do what he did with Dwayne Haskins. We told him straight away that no one's going to be fighting you out for your job, you QB1, etc. And obviously, Dwayne RIP, but, it wasn't good enough. Do you know what I mean? So I think Howell is going to put in the work. I think Howell will be QB1 when it comes to the start. I do, but Ron's not said he is QB1 or now he's not QB1. It's like, no, he is QB1 going into the offseason and then see what happens. Is he good enough? Does he progress with the enemy? And then will he be? Then they'll say he's QB1. He's the starter for week 1 because they won't say that until very close to that time. So
yeah, I think if we go with him, and obviously if it is poor and he shits the bed, so to speak, and we're going down that route, I don't want to see a backup quarterback in the likes of your Tyrod Taylors, your Jacoby Brissetts that can come in and win you a few games. I don't want to be perennial 8-8, 7-9, mid of the pack, picking 12th, picking 15th, picking 16th. It's not going to do us any favors whatsoever. If you're going to be shit, go all in and be shit, because you can pick up your franchise quarterback. But we're always doing this. Next year's class is better than this year's class. Last year's class is better, and you look back and you think, these NFL dudes who are out there, and the combine starting this week, it started today, actually, and it's all over the weekend. They're assessing these these college guys to come into the NFL. What round are we going to be? It's mock draft season. All that stuff's going on. These experts who are out there, your Mel Kipers of the world, they were the same guys who were screaming, saying, "Oh yeah, Mitch Trubisky's unbelievable. He's going to be a generational talent." And where are they now?
They miss a lot more than they hit. These so-called specialists, these experts. I do believe Sam Howell's got a lot to his game. He really does. He's a 5th round pick. If honest to God, I swear down, if he came out of the college year before, he would have been late first, maybe early second rounder. And no one would have batted an eyelid because he had a good season. He's this and that. And what impressed me more with the so-called down season was that before this season just gone, as in like his last college season, we didn't know he could run because he didn't really run. He didn't have to run. He had great protection. He had great wide receivers, running backs. Didn't have to do it. His final season didn't have any of that. So he's like, oh shit, well, how am I gonna actually produce? How am I gonna win games and put the team on his back? And he did, and he ran for 1,400 yards from a quarterback. You know what I mean? So I understand it's college and that'd be different to the NFL. However, that shows though he finds a way to win. That he's willing to put it on, he's willing to put it on his back and go, come on, follow me.
It's a really small sample size with him.
That's intangibles, man.
It is, and that's what you need. It's a really small sample size for the Dallas game, but I'm in on it. I think you give him a shot. He's got to be QB1 because you don't know what you've got, and that's the point, isn't it?
You got to give him a shot, man. You got to give him a proper genuine shot and say, come on, let's see what you've got. Let maybe even give him the first 6 games. What are you? How are you doing? Is he producing? Is he fucking failing? If that's the case, you pull him. But you've got to give this guy a shot, and I think he's going to be a lot more ready than Dwayne Haskins was.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
For next season, 100%. He's got a lot more to him, man.
I think sitting for a season has helped no end.
They've even said that he's throwing better. He's picking the right reads. He's quicker with the gameplay, reading on his reads and moving from first, second, and third progressions. And you get that, and that's what happens. As you get, if you're smart, and as you do that more, you learn that quicker. It becomes more second nature.
And I don't think the verbiage will change that much in the playbook for Eric Bieniemy from what we've previously seen from the Air Coryell offense to the West Coast style offense. I think it will change. It will change, but it shouldn't be too hard for him to pick that up.
I mean, what I've heard is with Bieniemy is that he does it the other way around. When he actually calls a play, he calls it, formation, like play first, formation second, rather than formation first. So it makes it. I don't know why, but he says it actually makes it easier for his players to pick it up, if that makes sense. Because the play is this. that means the formation is going to be, 11 or 12. No, I mean, see what I mean, like wherever the formation is, and he learned it that way. So it's actually a lot quicker. Whereas, obviously, if you just come from the most difficult playbook in the whole NFL.
Did you say it was numbers, or was it rather
numbers?
Yeah,
rather than XYZ, or you're the Z receiver, it was all like you're the third or second, and even in college and high school, they don't do that. So coming into NFL, trying to learn this is fancy, expensive kind of playbook, but completely with numbers rather than like the letters and all that. It just kind of messes with everybody's head. It takes them a lot longer to learn, and that's why there's so many different. That's why it's not a plug and play QB like Ron and everyone kept saying. Oh, we just need to we get the team, then just drop the QB, and then everything's great. No. The QB is the hardest for the QB because it's ridiculously difficult playbook to learn. So
there's been a bit of movement on players as well that we'll talk about now, and we've done a little bit of cap space saving, and we'll look at that. So Daron Payne we were the first team, 3 a.m, very strange time to obviously announce that, but we announced that we've put the franchise tag on Daron Payne. He hasn't obviously signed it. He's got till May the 1st to sign his tender for the franchise tag. And it's almost 18.9 million. It's just shy of 18.9 million. We've cut Bobby McCain, which I wouldn't have said it was an obvious cut, but I can understand why they've done that, saving 4.42 on the cap space. And we obviously cut Carson Wentz, saving 26.2 million on the cap space, which is an extreme amount of money that we have now to play with on that way. So come Monday, I think it was Tuesday. So come Tuesday afternoon, our time, we had well over 35 million on the cap space, all set aside, ready to go. And I mean, I think correct moves, would you have used Bobby McCain? Could you upgrade that? Would you look and think, actually, they probably think Percy Butler's better than what we've seen, and maybe they want to go with Percy Butler as a draft pick rather than keep a veteran like Bobby McCain around. And we've got Cam Curl and we've got Forrest, obviously, as the two safeties in there.
Let's face it. I mean, to be fair, was I shocked? A touch when I first heard it, but then when you start thinking about it, you think, well, actually, that makes a lot of sense because of what things you just mentioned. You obviously must like Butler, and obviously his new season, second season, just like Howell or anybody else after a season of playing, they get better, they get sharper mentally, they know what they're doing. He's already lightning fast, and he can cover and he can hit you. So he's got all the attributes ready to play. So I can understand why they're thinking, well, actually, we could save 4.5 million here. Let's face it, McCain went in the slot and he got burnt. He was burnt toast, man. So I understand why they cut him. When you read into it and think into it a bit more, I can understand why.
Carson Wentz.
Oh, that was obvious one. I mean, I don't think anyone was. I don't think I've met one person who said, "Yeah, we should keep him next year."
Yeah, I agree.
No, he was gone. He was guaranteed to be gone. I'm not surprised he didn't go first. Okay, technically, then it was once, but same day. So
same day, exactly. So that's then pushed us through from just over 35 million come Tuesday afternoon to obviously placing the franchise tag and signing the players we talked about earlier. We're down now to 16.2 million in cap space, and we still have quite a few decisions, if you like, to be made that we could make that would save us quite a bit of money along the way. Some quite obvious ones. I mean, JD McKissick, £1 million or $1 million. Sorry, if you cut him, that's an easy million for me, especially if you just signed Jonathan Williams back on. You're not going to keep McKissick for me. That already looks like that sealed the deal for that.
And so that's a shame for him as well, because
it is. I liked him.
Yeah, you know, I liked him. He was good. You know, he was your check down guy. You know, solid. And then he gets his bad neck injury. You just don't know if he's going to come back properly.
It might be an injury settlement. Yeah, it might end up being an injury settlement.
It might be. But I think, unfortunately, I think he has to go. Yeah.
And there's a few other higher cap space, either casualties, cuts, or restructures that we can look at. I mean, Jonathan Allen's the first one that you look at, who's due 21 million against the salary this year. If you can, you know, restructure him.
Do you really think he will, though?
Maybe, yeah.
This guy was all pro last year, and you're asking me to take low money? Nah.
It depends on how you do it. I mean, if we're getting a new owner in,
yeah, and he can massively change it into a signing bonus or something.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, but if you restructure it to like add extra fake years or extra years to lower down this or that, no, because you don't treat your best players and true leaders like that.
No.
So unless it is like a we'll give you like a massive like a 18 million of it is going to be a signing bonus and only 4 million against the cap or 3 million.
And that 18 million will be that 18 million will be split over the next 3 years. Yeah, you know, you can do that. You can do that. So that's why I said before on previous pods, your capologist or whoever looks after the cap is your most important person on that entire staff. And then other ones that we've got, Logan Thomas, who's due 8 million this year, a lot of money for a tight end that didn't perform last year. I know Burrows is your boy. I get that. I know you don't want him to go. I wouldn't cut him, but I do think that I would definitely look for restructure there.
I think a restructure's on with him as well, because you know, he is into his early 30s now as well, Logan. Mm-hmm. And he is actually a Washington fan. He was a Redskins fan originally, so
local boy as well, Virginia Tech, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, so he probably want to stay. So if it means like giving him a 2-year deal rather than there's 1 year left or whatever it is, but like half in his wage or 60% of his wage or whatever, you might take it because it gives him an extra year. So you might be able to do that with him.
And from what I've heard with Ron at the combine, he seems quite happy with the tight end room, and I don't disagree with him. I mean, we've got Amani Rodgers, who, as you said, another year under his belt, possibly could get a lot better. We didn't see enough out of Cole Turner.
Just the problem is that they all got injured.
They did. You're right.
All of them did.
Who's the other one that was on the practice? Who's the other one that was on the practice squad that Logan Paulson really rated? Was it?
He never Hodges? Got Hodges, Curtis Hodges. Yeah. He didn't get a shot at all, did he? He didn't get a chance to play. He was just in the practice squad. But Logan coming back banged up all season. You could tell there was nowhere near healthy. Couldn't block anyone. Couldn't get open in space. He's really just shocking. Cole Turner, concussions. Amani Rodgers, I can't remember what happened to him, but he went down and he never came back again. So what happened to him? And the Bates was injured all season with a calf problem. So and you wonder why his blocking level went down. He's getting injured, So
I think there's room there. It's a young tight end room. We don't know what's going to happen with that, but I've seen a lot of Commanders fans clamoring for us going early in the draft for a tight end, and I tend not to agree with that.
It has to be a game changer for me. I mean, a real game changer to go high for a tight end, and there's only two guys. Yeah, I like him.
Kincaid, is that the other guy?
Yeah, Musgrave, isn't there as well?
Yeah, Musgrave. Yeah,
Musgrave's good, but he's more of a second rounder for me. But yeah, I mean, Mayer's the kind of guy you want because he is a total mismatch. I think
the other one's Dalton Kincaid. I think his name is. I've seen him. They're talking about him as the next Travis Kelce, but you don't know.
But the thing is, though, you're comparing him to like probably one of the best tight ends ever played the game, and it's hard. It's hard to put that mantle on somebody who you've not really seen play, especially when you play at the college level.
Exactly.
I mean, Kelce was a first rounder, wasn't he? He was a first rounder, Kelce, wasn't he? Yeah. When he first came through. So only the true elite ones only come through from tight end are only the our first rounders. I don't think there's many I don't think there's no Tom Brady of tight ends. Who's come from round 6, who's been like an absolute legend of the game.
I gave Scouse a bit of a heart attack almost the other day when we looked at Andrew Norwell's contract. He could be cut and save just over $2.5 million. I think that's an easy one. See you later.
That's not even. I don't even got to think about that. That one's like, yeah, goodbye.
You're gone.
Goodbye.
And then I think post Logan Thomas, I think we're struggling then with anyone getting paid any sort of money at all. It's kind of Kendall Fuller. Kendall Fuller's the only other one you could look at. I think he's just over $8 million again on the cap, and potentially Curtis Samuel as well, who's I think just over 10. But he's a free agent.
He's got 1 year left on his deal, and
he's a free agent. Yeah, come the end of this.
And Roulier as well. You can look at Roulier because he's got a big contract still. I think he's around $8 million tomorrow as well. So, and again,
so there is moves you can make there.
If we had a healthy Roulier, you wouldn't even be talking about restructuring.
No,
you really wouldn't be, because he's that good. But he's just injury prone to hell the last 2 years. And so, I know line it can come like that. It'll just be unlucky. Sometimes you can play your whole career and not be hurt, as in like injured badly.
Well, this was the weird thing with Roulier. This is the weird thing with Roulier. Never got injured. It was a Mr. Consistent, and then just 2 years straight, really serious injuries. Same oddly with Tyler Larson as well. Never injured in Carolina. Never really the odd nick here and there, but never really missed a game or anything that you would think, oh yeah, he's going to miss a game for this. Came in and I thought he did a pretty good job. Bang, 2 years, 2 injuries, quite serious injuries as well, knees, ankles. I don't understand how it just rolls around in these sort of cycles where you have one particular area of the team. Well, maybe that's why we've got D trainers, and maybe that's why we've got a lot. That's maybe why we've got a training facility of an F minus. Maybe that's exactly what it is. Maybe.
Strength and conditioning. Don't forget the conditioning, boys. You strength boys. True. You strength A+ dudes. Yeah. Don't forget the conditioning.
Well, for first overall in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you like to do. As I said, lots of this is going to go on and move on from here. We'll probably look next week to start looking at what we do at 16, what sort of things we will take in the draft, whereabouts will be, what positions we're looking at taking. I think we can probably do it now. O-line. And then, is there any free agents out there that we think we could potentially look at and pick up?
It's also money though, isn't it? Because the cap's going to be, it's just lowered and lowered because of pain. So,
and as we talked about before, Dan Snyder's not a cash-rich owner, so we're struggling with signing bonuses. We're struggling.
I'm surprised he got Terry.
Checks.
I'm surprised he got Terry because I think he got like 18 mil signing or 20 mil signing, something like that.
So then with this 16.2, and you can finesse this a little bit. Obviously, we've talked there. We can probably, with the teams and the restructures and cutting other players that we've talked about, we're probably coming out with around about 30 again. Overall, let's just say, for argument's sake, you're going to come in with about 30 mil. Do you just take care of your own then, Scouse? What do you think about that? Do you say, yeah, we're going to pick up, we're going to do a long-term deal with Payne, probably looking at around about 10 million against the cap this year rather than 19, because you can convert signing bonuses, all that sort of stuff. You pay that man, you then up in your money that you've got left again. Do you then say, right, we're going to do Cameron Curl this season as well without him going to free agency? We're also going to pick up Chase's fifth-year option, which is, I don't know how much that was.
17 and a half.
17? Yeah, just
17 and a half.
You see what I mean? So right now, we can't even afford. Now, if we did nothing, we can't even afford to do that.
Yeah, you couldn't even get Chase's fifth-year option.
Not at all.
Exactly. And this is it, you see. It's for me, I think you're right. You've got to look after your own first. And Cam Curl's priority number one for me, even ahead of Deron Payne. Cam Curl's more important than Deron Payne, even though Payne was awesome last season and got 11.5 sacks. For me, it's still Cam Curl is the defense. Without him, the DBs look like fucking F. Do you know what I mean? They look like an F minus. With him in there, he's a B. That's how good that dude is.
We talked about this, didn't we? And we said that in the NFL circles, he hasn't got the biggest name. You know what I mean? He's not out there as being this amazing superstar.
If he went to Dallas because they're on TV all the time, they'd be going, "Oh my God, where's this guy come from?" Honestly, they'd be like, The guy's awesome. He plays all positions. He's so important to get.
He is unbelievably important. And as we said before, you're not just getting a safety, you're getting a guy who can play in 3 positions. You know what I mean? And
yeah, and I think the market for him, you're probably looking at the 18 mil per year. That's what I think. And for me, it's like you want to lock him up long term. I mean, I want to go long. I want to go 5-6 year deal. I'm really spread it out. No, me, I'm really kind of backload a bit more. So again, you got more cap now. Don't forget, it's because it'd be an extension for him. The cap won't really change this season for him.
No, so this season wouldn't. Yeah, this season wouldn't cheap change.
This season because let's face it, how much money has he earned as a 7th rounder in his 4 years? I think it's about 3 million total in 4 years. So and this guy's that good. No wonder he wants 20 mil plus per year. End of the day, we've been getting way more value for money than what we're paying him for his performances. How his level good he is.
It's strange, isn't it? I mean, look at the 3rd rounder in Terry McLaurin, and you look at his earnings as a whole. I mean, last year he was earning 1.8 million. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you just think, wow,
these rookie contracts, yeah. I mean, great for teams to help organize your cap and all that crap, but for players, absolute killer. If you're not in the 1st round or 2nd round, you're not getting paid well at all. No, I mean, I feel sorry for Sam Howell. I said because he should be at least a 2nd rounder earning, 20 million in his 4 years. Instead, he's earning probably 4. You know what I mean? Well, 5 million.
Let's just hope though that we can have this conversation.
4 years.
Let's just hope we can have this conversation in 2 years' time when they're looking at extending Sam Howell, and it's like, holy shit,
60 mil.
Pay. Exactly, yeah.
60 mil by then.
Yeah, he's a superstar. We've got to pay him 50 plus. Hey.
But isn't that wouldn't that be a nice conversation to have though? It's like, well, you've got the guy, absolutely. You've got the franchise guy. We've not had one of those ever. So, since Sammy Board, I'd say a true genuine franchise QB.
And isn't it funny?
All these other guys have been Mr. Men something. You know what I mean? You think about it.
I can't remember where we listened to where I listened to it, but it was on one podcast that I listened to, and they were talking about Mahomes and his contract. Remember at the time when Mahomes signed that 10-year deal, and it was like, yeah, I'm signing this $1 billion 10-year deal, or whatever it is. There's guys now like Daniel Jones asking for almost the same money as Mahomes, and I tell you what. There's 5 or 6 of them out there at QB who are already getting paid more than Mahomes. So don't look now, but I think in 2 or 3 years' time, he will start rattling, saying,
"Give me another contract, boy."
Yeah, it's time to start re-upping
or trade me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look at the Lamar Jackson situation, and that's funny, isn't it? I mean, we're in off season as we've talked about before. We're getting into draft season now. We're getting into free agency. I think next week we should look at free agency and look at the draft as a whole, but don't hold your horses if you're listening to this in thinking we're going to go out there and make some amazing splashes, because we have not got the money to do that at the moment.
I think there'd be one surprise, reasonable high splash, one, but that's it. There'd be no more than that, because I think Ron has to spend the money. Over the time, over the kind of years, he's been quite frugal, hasn't he?
Yeah, bargain basement players, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hence the O-line, bargain basement, 100% there. And so when you think about it, he knows this is his last year if he doesn't produce anything. If we're bang average again, he's gone. So for me, I'm blowing all the cap I've got. I'm blowing it all to try to improve in positions that will make a big difference for us, and get over that hump and say, look, yeah, I'm still here. We've got this. If he goes frugal again, bargain basement or line players, he's just asking for the same again of last season, which means he'll end up getting fired. So I think for him, he's got to spend some dollar this off season, and I think he will. I think he'll find some dollar, and he'll get one high paid dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. But then
position wise, I don't really know yet. But
I haven't thinking
one good guy. I think one main guy. I think, but. Yeah,
be interesting to see. And we thought we were going to have a dull week this week and not a lot to talk about, and how mad did that turn out to be. So thanks for staying with us for what is almost an hour now. We've been podding for.
Thanks, Dan. Fuck off.
Exactly. But yeah, you can catch us obviously every week. We'll try and keep this mic rolling. We might have a special guest on again next week, hopefully. And we will take it from there. Thanks everyone for listening, and have a great week.
Bye.